Hello, everyone, and welcome to Wisdom Seeker Live, a special podcast this evening, or evening where I am. I understand it's probably morning in other places. Glad to have you with us this evening. It's today, this morning, whenever it is for you. I know some of you may think I had a leave of my senses to do this, but in fact, I even had one connection suggest that they thought it rather peculiar that I would celebrate Labor Day by working harder, but that's okay. Just so you'll know, I wanted to offer a time because I know I have some connections that had mentioned that they would like to join, but because of timing, they haven't been able to. So I thought, well, let's adjust the timing. And so the other thing that I had decided, being a holiday weekend and everything, that it might be kind of good to um, just have a time to open up and have some conversation about things that are on your mind. And I just want to remind you a couple of things, admin things. One, just a reminder that if I seem distracted because I'm looking around, I've got three different screens that I'm working from to keep up and do good for you guys. And so the other thing is, as you join, please put in the comments where you're joining from, where in the world you're joining from. I always enjoy seeing where different people are tuning in. And so I'd appreciate that. And then, of course, this evening, especially, I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts, comments, questions so that we can discuss what's on your mind. I've always got things to talk about if we lack something. But anyway, I would prefer to hear from you and let's have some good engagement and discussion. The other thing is, I always like to start off explaining where we come from in terms of what is wisdom for wisdom seekers on the Wisdom Seeker Live podcast. And it's a journey. It is a three-step journey that is not once and done, but it's ongoing. And hopefully for your entire lifetime, you are gaining wisdom. So it starts with gaining knowledge, which we have come to do a lot of by very nature. Dr. Jasmine, good to see you. So first step, gaining knowledge, facts, figures, information, especially now with Google and Siri and all of those, we can get all kinds of knowledge. But we've got to be sure and not stop there because contrary to what some people want to say, the knowledge isn't power. We got a lot of people with a lot of knowledge, but they don't know what to do with it, have not practiced doing something with it. And if you can't do something with your knowledge, then it's not very powerful. In fact, can be replaced by Google. Welcome, Jack from Atlanta. Jack's practically a neighbor. And Rob, glad to have you from Pittsburgh. Oh, and I forgot to mention, Dr. Jasmine is from Japan. So we start with knowledge, and then we move from knowledge to understanding or experience, time of applying and using our knowledge in life, doing something with it. And that's what is the next step. And then the biggest step in this, and this is where quite often I see people misstep, if you will, or don't take the next step, and that is seeing our experience, seeing our understanding, our knowledge from a much larger perspective, real high level, and especially we want to see it outside of ourselves. Because part of becoming wise is recognizing that what we do, what we say, how we act, who we are, affects other people around us. We're not an island. And so the last step in gaining wisdom is seeing our experience and knowledge from that larger perspective and learning how to apply our knowledge and understanding in that larger perspective, considering other people, considering more than just the immediate, looking back, looking forward, and so on. So that's the wisdom journey as we approach it here on Wisdom Seeker Live. Welcome, Danny. Glad to have you from Florida. And Dr. Jesmine just says that she started children online classes under severe lockdown in Japan. Yeah, that's certainly a big topic right now for all of us, that in dealing with the pandemic. And of course, we can start there. And at any point, if you've got a question or a comment and you want to kick something around with the group and with me, just put it in the comments and we'll go with it. And I've done a couple of episodes now on in the area of fear, and I continue to be concerned about that for a lot of people. I continue to see people being affected by the fear with the pandemic and everything going on, and it just concerns me because the reality is that the COVID virus, especially when you look at it in terms of the general population, that the percentage of people affected is really very small, and as far as directly affected with the virus, but the number of people, percentage of people affected by the reaction to the virus is remarkable, and we still don't fully understand how much of an impact it's having. Continue to hear of people, hopeless, suicide rates increasing, things like that. Don't want to go negative, don't want to dwell on it, but the reality is that the fear of this virus is doing as much harm or more than the virus itself. And I encourage you, I hope I'm not offending anyone, not my intent. And but I hope that you will glean for yourself information about this and really avoid hearsay opinions, editorialized. Really seek it out and learn for yourselves. And in fact, we have an activity or a challenge that we have among wisdom seekers, and that is the idea of disconnecting from the noise, whatever that is in your life. For a lot of people currently, the noise that is the loudest in our ears is the news media and all of the claims and issues that we're being hit with. But disconnect from the noise. You decide what that is for you, and then observe. Take time and observe what's going on around you, what's going on inside you. It's really interesting, and I don't know if any of you've ever encountered this yourself, but I find myself sometimes going through my routines. And as I go through my routines, I realize that I've just, for example, driven down the road and not really remembered what was there. Had anything changed? Was it new? Was it different? And that's because we do not observe what's going on right around us. And quite often we're so caught up in the big world and what's going on there that we lose sight of what's going on right around us and inside of us. And so just really encourage you to disconnect from the noise, whatever that is, and then observe what's going on inward and outward, and then try to find some wisdom in it. Look at it from that big picture. Look at it outside of just your immediate self and the immediate moment. What is the implications of it? What do you need to consider? And when you're doing that, if you've disconnected from the noise, hopefully you're seeking out information on your own to really get insight, not someone else's opinion, not editorials, not talking heads, and so on. So just a thought there. Welcome, Langston. Langston shares a quote. Let's see pop that up. There's no terror in the baying, only in the anticipation of it. Yeah, think that a lot of us are living in anticipation of it getting bad, and really worried about that our world is going to really be in a bad way. Reality is that it there are things going on. There are people suffering, no doubt. I've got friends that are dealing with it, and I get that. And to be honest with you, I've had the virus too. Had some family members, and so I appreciate the concern with the virus. But at the end of the day, it is another virus, and we have been dealing with the virus for a long time. And again, I don't know if people are aware that this virus is a COVID virus, as is every flu virus that we've dealt with for the last several decades. They're all COVID virus. And just again, not trying to editorialize, just stating facts. And I hope people are informed enough to know that. And yeah, Dr. Jesmond, a lot of controversy around the whole topic. A lot of divisiveness, and in fact, I am thinking about writing an article, and you can maybe you all can weigh in on it, your thoughts. But what troubles me is in a world where we work so hard not to discriminate against people, yet we are starting to discriminate against people. We're discriminating against people about wearing masks. And there are people that can't wear masks for a number of reasons. Yet, if they don't wear a mask, in some cases, they can be dealt with. I've even seen videos of high school students being taken out of the school by the police over wearing masks. And I think that we just got to be careful. And this concept of mandating vaccines is another form of discrimination. And to then tie to it that we have to have some kind of card or passport or whatever term you like for it to be able to function and live, that's truly, truly troubling. And so just I am working on that, because I think we're watching a new form of systematic discrimination happening, and it's concerning. And Dr. Jesmond offers that the Lambda strain is more serious than the Delta. Again, I get that there's some concerns over mutation, and appreciate that. But again, we've been dealing with COVID or coronavirus mutations now for several years in the area of what we just call flu. And so again, keep it in context. For some people, we're told or being led to believe that this is just so all completely new, and it's not. It's something we've seen before, and we've dealt with it. Unfortunately, people have died from flu. They've died from pneumonia, and that's it's unfortunate anyone suffers and dies. But the reality, and I have to remind myself, I'm getting at an age where I'm closer to that point than many. But at the end of the day, none of us are going to escape death. And it becomes a matter of timing, and it becomes a matter of the process we go through. And I know one of the things that I count a blessing of is that I started a process coming up on actually, wow, it will be next year, be 50 years that I began a journey. And this journey was part of getting ready for the inevitable of death, to a point that I'm not looking to die, but I'm not afraid of it. Sometimes when people want to act or whatever, threaten me, I think to myself, the worst they can do is cause death for me, and I'm prepared for that anyway. So your people aren't going to necessarily frighten me in that fashion. I hope that that is true for many of you as well. So anyway, I just throw that out. What areas are what is on y'all's mind this evening? I'm hoping that going to be able to hear from some of my friends and connections in other parts of the world. I know Manila is one that was requested that for a different time, as well as Australia. And so I hope that people from other time zones that are interested will take advantage of it. um, Another thing that has been real interesting to me is education during this time. And as most of you know, I have a real passion about education. As a former teacher, taught high school for a number of years, and then I've worked in and around the education arena for now going on 20 years. Yeah, I know y'all find that hard to believe that I can be old enough to have done that part of it for 20 years. Surprise, surprise. No, I'm just joking, trying to lighten the moment. But real passion about education, and our current education approach is being tested. It's being tested in a big way. Um, and we just really need to uh, understand the implications. Oh, thank you, Dr. Jesmond. Dr. Jesmond says that she took off time for, I assume, from work to attend. Thank you. I'm honored. That's very kind of you. I don't think of myself as worth taking time off, but I'm glad that it is for you. So education, and I've been involved in a couple of new education initiatives that have really been interesting to me. They are based in virtual learning, and they're very good opportunities so that we can uh, learn in spite of all the challenges that are out there, the fears, concerns over the pandemic. And I'm excited about that. And I am very glad to see it. The two organizations that I'm working with, one of them is International Internship University, and the other one is the Institute of, oh my, I just drew a blank. It is Triple I, International Institute of Influencers. My apologies. Too many letters similar there, but they're great initiatives, and the goal is to open up education to more people. And one of the things that I especially like is that they're based in practical application and learning based on not just knowledge. You know, we talk about in Wisdom Seeker that wisdom comes as a process, and it just starts at knowledge, and that it has to progress on, and it has to go into experience, understanding, application, and then, of course, going into that bigger picture, that looking outside of ourselves. And one of the byproducts of that, of course, is to be able to problem solve and be creative, and to use our strengths to be able to look at the world in a bigger picture, and not just what it means for us or what we can get out of it, but also what we can give back. Uh, and so, really excited to be a part of that. And I will be curious to see how our uh, public education systems fare as this happens, because I can't speak to other parts of the world, although I hear that similar issues. But here in the U.S., we have schools that are shutting down, and they go virtual for a while, and then they go back, and it really is tough. And if any of you are teachers out there, you can only imagine, or you can imagine because you've lived the world of being a teacher, the challenges of doing that on an ongoing basis. I know back in, I guess it was February, March area, I was teaching a leadership class, and we were halfway into it when everything got shut down and everything went virtual. So what would be normally a live class that I would teach, I had to shift gears and teach via Zoom. And we were able to work through it and grow together as a result. But it's a real challenge. And now I'm fortunate in this case, on the whole, that I was dealing with adult learners, which is helpful. And I know there are certain challenges that teachers are dealing with right now because of children in environments where it's tough to help keep them focused on learning. And so I'll be real interested to see how it unfolds and move forward and see if we can learn from it and grow from it and improve our education system along the way. Sorry about that, getting a little dry. So tell me what is on your minds this evening or in this morning. I know Dr. Jesmond says that it's 9 a.m. or so in her part of the world in Japan. So tell me some things that you have on your mind. I'd love for us to talk. You share about your experiences in gaining wisdom, or ask questions, and we as a group can work through that. Otherwise, I'll keep working on it and sharing thoughts. And another one that is a passion of mine is the area of workforce. And it's an interesting environment right now because we've got a lot of people looking for jobs. But the irony of it is that there are a lot of companies looking for people. And for some reason, we're not getting those two groups together to help make things happen. And we can blame a lot of reasons for it. And I believe there is room for responsibility on both sides of the issue, but we've got a big issue there that we've got to work through and figure out how to overcome. I know I appreciate that comment, definitely, Dr. Jesmond, that without wisdom we cannot do anything. It is certainly the bedrock of really making good choices. And that's part of the reason that I am so passionate to encourage and help as many people as possible to be able to seek and gain wisdom. Because when we do that, we make better choices, and hopefully we don't end up learning the same lessons over and over again. Part of wisdom is seeing the challenges we face in that bigger world, that bigger picture, and begin to, first of all, realize that quite often that these challenges, concerns that we have, fears, are a lot bigger in our minds than they are in reality. And part of the way we can come to that is to get a bigger perspective other than what's immediately around us, and get that perspective, because that helps us to see what's beyond the moment and what we're challenged with. Dr. Jesmond has another comment. She says, wisdom cannot grow in a single day. It grows with time and parallel to experience. That is a wise statement, Dr. Jesmond. I know that at times that people would argue with me that wisdom comes with age, and because there are exceptional people that have not had as many years to gain wisdom. But quite often, if you look at those people that are younger but have gained a lot of wisdom, it's probably because they have had a lot of challenges and struggles in their lives. And one of the values of our struggles and our difficulties and working through them, adversities, is that we gain wisdom through it if we seek that wisdom. And part of that seeking has to be the right mindset and approaching it in the right mindset. And so definitely it generally comes more with years. There are exceptions for people that have had to struggle a lot and be able to gain wisdom. I think of examples of people that have physical challenges that they were born with or whatever, and I watch and marvel at the wisdom they have because the world is their whole world is a challenge. And I have such great respect for people that overcome those challenges that are hard and most of us say are unfair. At the end of the day, if I have to trade off physical um, completeness or physical uh, normal, whatever that is, and give up wisdom in the process, I have there's no doubt in my mind. I'll choose the wisdom every time. The value there is so remarkable. Dr. Jesmond shares that when we treat patients, our wisdom proves how we handle with them. Oh, yeah, being able to have wisdom as we approach helping people, whether it be as a medical professional or in other ways, wisdom is such a great help because we can offer that greater perspective and a greater context as we go along. And so, yeah, the value of all of this that we're struggling with is if we approach it well with the right mindset, that we can gain a lot of wisdom here if we just try for it. Let's see. All right, and Dr. Jesmond offers when you handle a small experimental animal like mice, you're holding handling way also shows your wisdom even to a small animal. Yes, the beauty of wisdom is that it helps us, whether it's a seemingly small animal or a small circumstance, or it's something huge. Wisdom is valuable in all of those situations and serves us well if we gain it. And one of the things, though, about wisdom that I try to help people understand and that is very important is that wisdom is not, well, back up. It is possible to stumble into wisdom. And if you spend enough years on this earth, at some point you do pick up some wisdom. But those that seek it and look for it and want to find it, gain it much greater and much quicker because they're looking for it. And so, just something that is of value to seek out and make it an effort to do so. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Have to. I'm not. I'm usually enjoying hearing some other speak a guest, or so my throat gets a little dry. And I agree with you, Dr. Jesmond, that our attitude and approach demonstrates our wisdom. One of the things that I see that wisdom brings value in is that as much as some would want us to believe that they have answers that fit all aspects of life, that they can state factually and with certainty that if we do this, this is going to happen. There is a little bit of that that's possible. The rest of it is not so possible. And the key is, as we gain wisdom, we begin to understand how to approach life and see, and it gives us a better perspective, and it gives us a chance to help people with insights and direction and perspective. Welcome, Bob Ford. Love you too, brother. Appreciate you being here from the great state of Texas, I believe, still. And but excuse me. There is a saying that wisdom should be sought more than gold. more than silver, more than gems, more than anything. And it's true. The things that we gain, I appreciate that we can gain knowledge and so on, but it's the wisdom that makes the difference. And one of the things that I really appreciate and respect about wisdom is it doesn't die when our body dies. The it is eternal, and it lasts beyond our physical body into eternity. And so I'd much rather have wisdom that I can take and it will be part of me forever, rather than riches and those things, because eventually we leave those behind. As the old saying goes, not many people you ever see anybody that's died and going to be buried have a armored car behind them. So let's see. So tell us a little more, Bob, about knowledge being your catalyst. And welcome, Rosemary. Different time of the day for a change, huh? Rosemary is one of our regular wisdom seekers, and she joins us every week pretty much, and she stays up late to be able to visit. So we appreciate you, and I'm glad that you get to have a chance where it's not pushing late into the evening. So welcome aboard. Oh, by the way, Bob, for whatever reason today, you get to be my LinkedIn user. For some reason, the streaming service does that. So anyway, I'd like to hear you expound a little bit on knowledge being your catalyst. That would be insightful. And Dr. Jesmond makes the comment about the value of having wisdom over other things, because you can't buy wisdom. You have to gain it with effort and time and experience and go through the process. So wisdom is such a key part of what we're about. And so I'm trying to think of other things. Again, I can talk, unfortunately for you all, I can talk and talk and talk. I'd rather hear from you. But the area of workforce, one of the things that I'm watching, because I do a lot of study on workforce and workforce trends. You're right, Bob. You can't speak. Can you type fast and make comments for us in the comment section? That'd be great. Maybe sometime, Bob, we need to arrange for you to be on camera with me. Let's see if we can get our schedules together and let you come on, and I'll be quiet and let you speak. I would enjoy that. I know you have a lot to offer us, and but if you can type some things in, share a little bit in the comments, that'd be great. I'd love to be able to pop those up. And so anyway, workforce issues. I am watching with a real concern over what's happening in our workforce. Again, I mentioned earlier, Bob says that I developed through time. I love to talk and cheat. I appreciate that. So anyway, the whole workforce question, and I think we've got a real pivotal issue that we've got to address, and be interested to hear some of you maybe share thoughts on, is the work from home, or as we talked on Perspective Force last week or earlier this week. I like the term, rather than work from home or remote work, is the term or phrase strategic flexibility. And I'm real anxious, or not anxious, I am real curious to see how this unfolds, because I think that it's going to be a defining element of where we are in the workforce, and it's going to make a huge difference because of the implications of it. And for those of you that have interest, Tisha Nyhorster and I wrote an article on working from home, and we explored the uh, very many implications and consequences of how we decide to deal with working from home, and if that forces a major shift in the workforce, and uh, and so I think it's going to be real telling to see what happens. All right, let's see. Dr. Jessamine comments that remote work is tough and honesty works here. Yeah, one of the challenges we're dealing with work from home, remote work, whatever term you prefer, is the struggle that there are a number of managers that are very uncomfortable because of trust issues. They're concerned that people are going to take advantage of the situation, not give their whole effort. Some even argue productivity goes down, and I'm not sure that there is data to support that adequately. I think it's still a lot to learn and find out. But that's one of the challenges we face. All right, let's see what Bob's going to fill us in here. I tell my students that everyone needs to develop their own individual style based on the knowledge of wise individuals they know. Oh, yeah, it is part of the journey to gain wisdom is to spend time with people who have gained wisdom. And the idea being, hopefully, that we can gain some wisdom from them, that we do not have to necessarily struggle as hard to gain firsthand without those people being around. And the value of surrounding yourself with people that are wise and that have been down the road further than you have in a particular area. And that's not just necessarily an age thing, it can be based on other experiences. But spending time with people like that with the genuine interest of gaining from them, real value in that. That's in fact, one of the reasons that when I talk about education, I really think a preferred method of learning, especially once we get beyond the basics of being able to be very functionally literate, is the idea of apprenticing or spending time with people that are wise in their area and learning from them rather than having to learn everything the more difficult way. One of the things that struck me recently as I look at workforce and those issues is that apprenticeships, unfortunately, are in most countries are considered less than desirable for people because the thought is that having academic education is more desirable. There are exceptions, and I understand that. Some countries that value apprenticing and learning in that fashion. But what's really interesting is that even today, in areas that are considered critical areas in life, we're still apprenticing people. For example, I know there's a lot of education that medical doctors go through, but at the end of the day, the final accomplishment that they have to go through is to be apprenticed. We call it a residency. And it is true in other areas that are so-called professional occupations. At the end of the day, you have to apprentice in those areas in order to become certified, licensed, or whatever. And so the value of that apprenticing is still around. And what I remind people that it hasn't been that too far back in history that the academia formal formal education part was not the key to being in these so-called professions. It was apprenticed. It was learned at the hand of a master. And as Bob talked about, somebody that's wiser than we are that we can gain from. So it's it just really is a good way to learn, and I think the more we can push learning in that fashion, the better off we are. All right, Bob, you're typing good. It amazes me that level of wisdom is directly related to a specific focus. The wisdom that reflects a variety or package tells me that the person traveled and interacted with various cultures and societies. Yeah, the value of wisdom is that when we're exposed to it, it's rarely comes from a self-centered vantage point, because to have gained wisdom, we have to have realized that it's not just about us, that it in fact is a big factor of those around us, especially those immediately around us, but in terms of even bigger picture, that as we gain that and we recognize that our decisions and how we choose to move forward, or the attitudes we choose, have impact on others, it causes us to think beyond our own self-interest, which is something that we really truly need more of today, because people are too focused on their own self-interest, and it's not only harming other people, but it harms them as well. And Dr. Jasmine makes a comment that, and I agree, that it's in order to make some changes in our education and our learning process, is going to take some unlearning and relearning on the part of educators. Again, having been a licensed educator and having learned the all of the pedagogy and the processes of that, I realized that the only way that I have managed to stay current is to keep the components that I've learned and that I understand, but not be afraid to look beyond them and consider if they need to be adjusted, or in some cases even thrown out for another better perspective, better process, better way to teach and learn. And Bob says wisdom has lost the old definition of knowledge through experience to the knowledge of experience. And yeah, and just so you know, I'm not that smart a guy, really. That this whole concept of wisdom and what I talk about is not something that I've come up with. I express it a little different, but it's actually in the Bible, and it says first comes knowledge, then understanding, and then wisdom, and that's the process spelled out by writings that are much wiser than I am. So yes, we hope that we will begin to value wisdom once again, and really focus on gaining that, because if we do it, it's better for all concerned. And Jack, I appreciate you jumping in with a comment. Jack makes the comment that apprenticeship work well in union construction jobs. And then Bob goes on to comment, even in non-union, I think the key word or key concept here is apprenticeships work regardless. And I know right now it's more associated with construction. I've been in and around construction now, wow, over 40 years. And it's a, it's still a learning process that is used regularly in that industry. But at the end of the day, we really need to be apprenticing in most any job out there. And one of the things that I would like to see if I were ever in a decision-making place as far as education goes, is that we would get away from all academic and begin to turn to applied learning, because and I get in trouble and I try not to do that, but every now and then I still do. But people want to say knowledge is power, and I have to argue to the contrary, because I know some very knowledgeable people, and that can't do anything with that knowledge, and it is not powerful at all. In fact, in the end, I see it harm people more than even some ways not having the knowledge. And so we really need to rethink the whole approach. And let's see here. Good. I like the fact that you all are reaching out and commenting. Transformed and translated wisdom. Yes, that becomes real to us when we are paying attention. Welcome, Zaid. Glad to have you. Zaid's one of my Monday morning Eastern time regulars. So glad to see you here on an evening. I hope it's a good time that for you and all. And then Rosemary, good. I'm glad that you're chiming in. You have so much to offer. Knowledge is knowing, wisdom is understanding. At the end of the day, we have to have all three components and go through the journey process of moving from knowledge to understanding to wisdom. And what happens is it's not really linear, it's circular, because as we grow, as we gain knowledge, get that understanding experience, learn some wisdom about it, then we go back to the knowledge that we had before, but we see it from a different light, a wiser light, and we're able to process it differently and gain new understanding and experience, which grows into wisdom. And that's the cycle that I hope that many of us will get on and make it a choice to stay on that. I'm trying to figure out, Bob, you were saying that, oh, I didn't know you were a PK. Wow, that explains a lot. No, I'm just teasing you, Bob. I know a lot of PKs. I was trying to see what it was that you were apologizing for. Oh, I just realized I skipped over a comment, Bob. He said, I rely on wisdom in my project-based learning course work to create the best experience that will benefit students. Oh, yeah. Having taught in a environment where it was competency-based learning, the learning experience is so much richer for those that go through a competency-based process, such as working for more than just passing a test. Really, a key thing there is that as we learn in a competency-based environment, we rely less on memorization and passing the test and just by memorizing, and more on learning the concepts and really gaining insight into the concepts, so that when something comes up, because it always does, you learn something in the textbook and then you get out in a real world experience and it doesn't work exactly like the textbook says. And gaining wisdom is how to take what you know and apply it to situations that maybe you don't know. And that's the value of gaining in that fashion. And Bob comments, I'm doing it this semester, all 5 classes, playing project managers. Well, back when I was teaching, because I taught in area of construction, I had to apply leadership in that environment, because at different points I was working on, had students working on 4 different areas, and I couldn't afford to just stand up in front of the class and lecture at them and rely on sit and get. I had to begin to use leadership and apply project management type principles to work with these young people. What was really great about it is they rose to the occasion, and rather than learning for the test, they were gaining competence. They were applying knowledge and skills together to become competent. And it was something that would stick with them the rest of their life. And so it is a true learning rather than uh, learning academically. And oh yeah, I see you had to bring that up too, Bob. Bob and I have been involved in a student organization over the years called Skills USA. And if you don't know about Skills USA, I encourage you to check them out. It is a student organization that is affiliated with schools all over the U.S., and then they're uh, affiliated with international skills. And it's remarkable because they are focused on learning, uh, gaining the knowledge, but they don't stop there. They are learning how to use it, and excuse me, they're learning how to use it and be professional as well. It's very remarkable. And I think what always excited me and my involvement with Skills USA is to watch high school and college young people run this event. And I know that fear of public speaking is a really big fear, but I watch high school students get up on a stage in an sports arena that has 15,000 people in it, and they are speaking. They are actually overseeing the program and things like that. You know what? That takes a lot of character. It takes a lot of skill. It takes a lot of knowledge, and it is truly a process that is based in competence, because those young people through that process are growing in remarkable ways. And what I love about it is a lot of companies complain. I'm in workforce still uh, with the construction industry, and companies complain that they have people come to them that can't function with soft skills and employability. But yet, knowing Skills USA and watching these young people function very well with some amazing soft skills, it gives me hope to, and that's why I've enjoyed being a part. And I know Bob does as well. Um, let's see. Contract negotiation starting Tuesday. Do tell there, Bob. What are you which contract are you negotiating? While you're working on typing that out, Zaid makes a very good comment. Wisdom is knowing we need wisdom to function in life. Yes, you're right, Zaid. At the most basic level, it takes wisdom to know we need wisdom, doesn't it? And I think that's the value of hanging out with wise people, is that they help us find out and learn that we've got a lot to know before we even know what we don't know. And so, even at my age, the older I get, the more or the less or more I realize how little I know and how much I can still learn and grow and gain. So, um, wisdom, I encourage you, as you can, gain it, as you can, give it, share it. Part of the value of us being together as people, as humanity, is to share the wisdom we've gained with other people as they shared their wisdom with us. That is the value of what we do as people. We are, I'm a very firm believer in unique design, that each of us is very unique, but we also share common design or universal design, and that is that we are here to be able to help each other. And the way it's put in the Bible, I like it, is that we are comforting others with comfort that we've received. In other words, we've struggled, and in life, and hopefully with the help of others, we've overcome, and they have shared with us their struggles and how they overcame. Now, as we go through, then our opportunity is to do the same for other people. That's part of this whole process of of being human and being together as part of a shared world. Let's see. All right, Bob, you're going to enlighten us here. I'm the project administrator, and all my students and all my courses are signing an employment contract with me and complete the task I assign for each subject. Oh, that's the contract negotiations. Very good. And by the way, that sounds an awful lot like real world, uh, gaining some rather remarkable experiences. And I really let me put this back up. I really like the fact that you are assigning tasks, not giving jobs. And I think that one of the things that we've got to do more and better of in the employment world is to task people based on their strengths rather than putting people into a job description box and say, hey, do the best you can. Let's see. Uh, Bob's talking about plan reading. Yeah, code and compliance, methods and materials, surveying, MEP for those that don't know construction. That's mechanical, electrical, and plumbing as part of a construction project, all using one set of plan reading sets. So again, you're doing this whole thing of being practical, Bob. I don't know, might start something big here, but yeah, that's the way it's done in the real world. And allowing young people to, uh, as we say in the military, practice as we fight is real important. Let's see, uh, how many conferences and meetings I have attended in the past 18 years. Yeah, I know you've made the circuit a lot in a lot of different areas and contributed, by the way, to it. Um, so, uh, again, at the end of the day, rather than us just trying to give knowledge, I think what we really need to be working for is to help each other, including and especially our young people, focus on gaining wisdom. Don't pass the test. Don't get the degree. Don't get the diploma. Don't get the certificate. Gain wisdom in it and become wise in what you're doing. And then tests and those things become minor issues because part of the challenge that we're uh, facing is that we've got a lot of young people that are pretty good at taking tests, but not real good at doing something with what's on the test. And that's the challenge. As an educator, one of the big concerns we're always looking at is not having gaps in school attendance, because if you go more than a week or two outside of school, the students start forgetting stuff. And it's because they've not learned it in terms of competence, in terms of wisdom. They learn it long enough to pass the test and then they lose it. It's just not a permanent part of them. And that's part of the adjustment that we've really got to make in our education system if we're going to help our young people get along well and grow in life and be successful. Because most of life doesn't fit in the textbook. And the test that we give so much of is based on the textbook, not on life, and a real challenge. All right, I knew eventually, Rosemary, I'd get you inspired here to comment, because I know you have some real wisdom, insight, and strong opinions on it. Difference between knowledge and wisdom is easy to understand. Many years back, I wrote all the notes and draw all the designs for a family member who had a learning disorder but was brilliant with actual hands-on work. I gained knowledge of how to break down and rebuild diesel engines. You go, Rosemary. That's quite a undertaking. A lot of science, math. There's all kind of knowledge and skill involved. I also gained the wisdom to never put the knowledge to use because I simply had no need to use the knowledge. Yes, you bring great perspective there. But at the end of the day, what you did was you freed learning from academic jails. We have a lot of people not learning because we have put learning in jail academically, and really good to hear that. And I know that you've lived it and experienced that and worked with your family and others in that process. So, well, I hope that having a different time zone, different time frame has been of some value to those of you that are in other parts of the world. And I will consider, if we need to make this a more regular option, I will consider it. Just pray about it, because if I'm going to do it, I want to do it well. But I appreciate all of you being here, and we'll kick this around, see if we need to revisit it again. And if so, if enough people will join us and support it, I'm open to that, because at the end of the day, it's all about sharing wisdom, growing, gaining wisdom together, and moving forward with it. So those of you that can, we'll be back in 11 hours doing the regular Monday morning Wisdom Seeker, and look forward to that. And again, we're going to have kind of an open forum, and I'm hoping that I'll open up tomorrow, and immediately everybody will jump on and start sharing ideas, asking questions, and lead the charge. And I can ride along and gain and learn from you guys as well, because I always look forward to sharing that time. So have a great rest of your day, evening, morning, whatever works. Glad to see you all with us. And again, we will consider doing this alternate time again. Maybe y'all can let me know if this Sunday evening is a good timing, or if it might be another time. But hey, I'll stay flexible. At the end of the day, I'm here to be available and obedient to my calling, and to share time with you all, hopefully help encourage a little wisdom. And so thank you. If you can join again in the morning, that would be great. Welcome, Muhammad. Glad that you jumped on. Unfortunately, we're wrapping up. Hope you'll join us again. Just sharing that we'll be live again in about 11 hours. So if you want to join us again, feel free. There is a event set up on my profile. Be happy to have you. If you can't find it, if you'll type it in comments, I'll provide you a link after we go from being live. Again, thanks everyone. I appreciate your comments, appreciate your encouragement, your very presence, and your engagement is such a source of encouragement and inspiration to me. So thank you, and see some of you again in about 11 hours. God bless, and I hope your week gets off to a great start. And if you're celebrating with us on a holiday, I hope you have an amazing Labor Day holiday. Thanks, everyone. Take care. See you next time.